Yes, man. Grenada, Grenada, the land where I was born. I know you were suffering. Men have raped you and abused you and left you there crying. I devote my heart, my body and my soul. I stretch forth my helping hand to help you out. I haven't got diamonds, silver, nor even gold, but blessings I give to its west, north and south. Oh, Grenada, Grenada, here I come. Sweet, sweet Grenada. I will never, ever, ever let you down. Oh no, I'll always be your support. Right here by your side. With my arms around you to wipe your weeping eyes. It's quite a long time now since you have fallen back to the last rung of the ladder, and your neighbors stand up there and uttering no talk, but to help they just don't bother. Some of your friends have turned their backs on you. They don't want to see a friend with your name on it. Don't bother with them. One day you will rise up too. Cause in times to come is the bread they might have to eat. Listen, let me go. Oh, Grenada, Grenada, here I come. Sweet, sweet Grenada. I will never, ever, ever let you down. Oh no, I'll always be your support. Right here by your side, with my arms around you to wipe your weeping eyes. Let me go. Listen, it's time that you take a stand to defend your position from all those smart rip-off scams who just come to take a bite and make their own decision and boast to the world that they are the reigning champ. While your friends them happy had times they were going through, they still wouldn't help you out if you beg them please. But woe unto them, little do they know that a good name is better than great riches. Oh, Grenada, Grenada, here I come. Sweet, sweet Grenada. I will never, ever, ever let you down. Oh no, I'll always be your support. Right here by your side. never let you down. Oh no, I'll always be your support, right here by your side. With a big fist I will to wipe your weeping eye. Let me go. If you feel the pain like me, feel free to say I love my country. Oh yeah, Grenada. Oh, I love you, Grenada. I'll always be right by your side, Grenada. Oh, why, Grenada, 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 Grenada. Oh, I love you, Grenada.
Situation is so complex, who can understand people? Alright. And everyday people expressing different interpretations. Let us analyze just a little more. Our inner thoughts more deeply explore. Personal feeling objective, I say. Even if it's hard, we still have to try. We have to recognize the conditions that brought us so, then determine which way we want to go. Because the same stick that beat the platform is the same that will strike the wine. So for Grenada's sake, we have no choice but to unite. That's right. Who dwell among us without sins, cast the first stone. Show me a man who has not done wrong. Each one wants to blame his adversary and hide his own faults. But tell me, how long can this game go on? Where is the love, my people? Where is our unity? We have to build a home on trust and integrity. Yeah. We have to elevate our sense of strength and purpose. We have to understand that this Spice Island must come first. Yeah, in mind that no amount of foreign assistance can ever compensate for our nation's independence. Our road is long and our work is hard, but our united strength is our greatest reward. We made as we strove to build a nation. Do not forget, people. Alright. There were times when we all were proud and times that we all regret, people. Sometimes we acted so insensibly, treated our own brothers callously. Politicians criticized, native sons were ostracized, wolves in sheep clothing parading the skies. The evils that were done we contemplate every day, yet the good deeds we quickly hide away. But if the right hand gets a cancer, well, the whole body feels the pain. So we must gather strength and start building our home again. No strain. Who dwell among us without sins, cast the first stone. Show me a man who has not done wrong. Like crabs in a barrel, we only each other down. But tell me, how long can this thing go on? We have to rise from the gloomy depths of hypocrisy. Let us reconcile differences and try unity. It is a duty, people, a responsibility. For children's sake, for the love of our country. So government stop exporting talents to foreign nations. Make us feel that we can return home to give a hand. Cause the task of responding to our nation's call is not only on one, but it depends on all. Remember when killing and fighting were things we only heard about people? Alright. There will be better days, more prosperity. Yes, I have no doubt, people. If we want to rebuild the Spice Island, free of drugs, war and corruption. Politicians, please I say, abandon your power play. Work towards the dawning of a new day. The world economy is unhealthy, yes, that is true. Bigger nations sneeze and we catch the flu. Yet if we manage our scarce resources properly, we might just get by. So for our future's sake, let's get up and give it a try. No lie. And let those who dwell among us without sins cast the first stone. Show me a man who has not done wrong. Political parties, stop condemning your predecessors. Praise the good they do as you move along. And let us build a nation on pride and integrity. No one else can take this responsibility. No, no. And while we struggle along the way of our journey, just remember that Grenada still belongs to we. I know America, no superpower can solve our problems. In the end, when they're gone, we will still be faced with them. And we will remain with one brave mission. Make Grenada the gem of the Caribbean. Where is the love, my people? Where is our unity? We have to build a home on trust and integrity. We have to elevate our sense of strength and purpose. We have to understand.
Now remember the Obeah man brought independence to this nation, and we must compliment him for his worthwhile contribution. But when you want, grow just what you eat and eat just what you grow. That one was a champion during the revolution. So why not practice just what we preach, to have this country standing on its feet? So come turn slogan into positive action, and then Grenada would be an independent land. What you can grow in your backyard, you importing from Trinidad. Somebody tell me what independence means to we, and the cost of living higher than Monks and Catherine. Somebody tell me what independence means to we, and the economy has one foot in the cemetery. Somebody
unity to build this country. Only so we don't see what independence means to we. No Christmas without a bonus. Somebody tell me what independence means to we. You like so much corned beef, rock and you don't want it. Somebody tell me what independence means to we. You like so much my love, you refusing cocoa. Somebody tell me what independence means to we.
Good night to you, Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. Once again, it is time for Talking Points. My name is Sheldon Scott. I'll be here with you up until the 10 o'clock hour. I don't know how I nearly said 12, you know. The 10 o'clock hour. What have you done for Grenada lately? I see a lot of you stand up against that particular bill. Yes, you have done that for Grenada. I could put that on your record as you have done that lately.
Hail, hail, you workers of this land. Let it evaluate the service you give to this.
Let's not get it twisted, eh? The bill isn't gone and that's it and it's done, you know. It's been laid in Parliament for the first reading. I hear some people say it was sent back. Listening to other programs this morning, no, it hasn't been sent back. The bill is still very much active. And I'm speaking here as our political leader who will be joining us shortly said, the children's bill. All right, so that bill is coming back to Parliament. Yeah? But government has said they're going to allow all of us to have our say in relation to it. So let's see if they stick to their words and if they do allow all of us to have our say in relation to that. Let me say a good night to the folks out there in Cloget.
What you should emulate.
You know, it was strange. On Friday, I saw a schedule coming out for the buses, for buses from the top side and buses from the bottom side of that disaster zone. Yeah, that's what I'm calling it now, the disaster zone. So there are buses on the upper side and buses on the lower side. So there was a time schedule, people, you know you're getting a bus at this time. Then on Friday, saw a release coming out by the MP that you can't pass there. So I don't know if they've reopened it. I don't think, personally, I do not believe it is a good idea to reopen there. I believe that the idea put forward by former Member of Parliament, Mr. Alvin Dabrio, as regards an alternative route, the possibility of an alternative route for folks to get from Cloget down to St. John, that should be looked at. It is foolhardy to have folks walking through that area. It is not the wisest thing. It is not sensible. It just doesn't make any sense. Yeah, to have people walking through an active area. It also doesn't make sense, in my view, to continue having people working in that area. So you have people that are working there, doing work in that area still, and while you're having people working there, you have not done your seismic studies, you have not done your geological studies, you have not completed any study, any, in relation to that project. And now with the carnival season upon us, we very well know nothing ain't taking place there until after carnival. Yeah? They are summit now, they're in the summit, they're busy with that. After that is carnival. When carnival done is when they're going to study the people in Cloget again. So the people up there in Cloget, they really have it to go through. Yeah, so that is the current situation there. I do not know if they have since reopened. The last note I saw, my friend, let me know if they reopen. Yeah, let me know if they reopen. So the last I saw was that they had that area still closed. Yeah, they had that area closed. It is not a situation that they were allowing people to pass through. And so we saw within a short space of time, 3 times the walkway collapsed into the pit. 3 times we saw that happening there. And the earth continues to shift. Everything there continues to move. Why in God's name are they continuing to do construction there? Why are they continuing to do excavation there? Excavation that they may very well have to come back now and fill. Why are they continuing to dig where they may have to come back and fill again? You do not know what you're dealing with, but you're digging. Yeah? You don't know what you're dealing with. At least allow the engineers and the different people to come in and do their studies, find out where the rock is, find out where the base is, find out where the source of the water is and all of that. And then they put together a plan to deal with it. Instead of that, you say you have a wall and you just continue, well, we're building the wall. All we know is we're building the wall. No. Take a break from the project because you might very well have to break down the wall after all. You don't know. And I'm not hoping that that's the case because, again, it's taxpayer money that has done it. So I'm hoping that whatever is done, that is maintained. But suppose what you get now, you have to break it down. But you're continuing to build, you're continuing to pour, you're continuing to bring in stuff, and you don't know what you're dealing with. And while you're doing that, the area continues to be more and more unstable. It just makes absolutely no sense. Folks, remember, the consolidated list of voters is out, and the time frame for the objections, the objection period. While that has passed, you can still make objections in relation to, let us say, 7 days and thing to the list now. That is, you could make an objection all now. So please, check the voters list, make sure your name is there, make sure the names are people that you need to be there, that those names are there, and look out for those names that should not be there or that you cannot identify. Sometimes it's not that it shouldn't be there, it's that you cannot put a face to the name. Yeah? And there are situations sometimes like that where I know a time in a particular area, they saw a name on the list and man, they search, trying to canvass the list and can't find that particular person. And the person was around all the time. But the person, well, not a vagrant, because you know in some of these communities, you have people who in other places, they may consider them vagrants, but they ain't vagrant. They are placed to the stay, but they have their little challenges, chemically and otherwise, that they just go and, yeah, you understand? So they keep themselves a certain way. And that was the individual. The individual was right around there all the time and they wondering, but everyone knew them by their nickname. Nobody knew them by their proper name. So check. It may very well be one of the indigent people who are around. Right? Because, yeah, they're registered too. Yeah? You might be very surprised you're passing in town and somebody vagrant and them you're seeing. Although Grenada doesn't have a massive vagrant problem, no. We do have that. We pride ourselves on that. We don't have a massive one on that. Fellas you see doing that in town, well, you could count them on one hand. Yeah? But you might be surprised some of them registered too, eh? So check the voters list properly. Make sure that you verify who is on the list. Let me say a very special good night to our listeners via We Noise Radio. Joining us tonight. Also our good listeners via One Soca. Hey, buddy, good night to you, bro. And good night to all the listeners via your medium. All of you joining us on YouTube and all of you joining us via Facebook. In a little while, we'll be bringing on with us the political leader of the New National Party, the Honorable Emmalin Pierre. Yeah. All right. So they say the passing, for the people in Cloger, they said the passing this morning, people passed this evening too. Only Saturday they said that road closed and then people passing there. It's difficult to pass, but they're passing through. So people are passing there. Listen, whatever arrangement they need to make, they need to make it. They need to make those arrangements because you are endangering the lives of the people of Cloger. Yeah? And other people who are looking to head into Cloger for whatever reason, you're endangering their lives. And the administration needs to seriously look, carnival or no carnival, summit or no summit, whatever is taking place, they need to seriously look at how they adjust to deal with this issue so that the people of Cloger no longer have to go through what they are going through. And other users of the road can do so. Yeah? Nice. So, folks, we will be joined by political leader of the New National Party in a short while. Let me just get them online with us. Yeah? Again, and I want to thank all of you who joined the political leader of the New National Party. Yes, Sonia, yes, and Jay out there in St. Patrick on Saturday. Yeah, it was well attended from what I am hearing. Also, those of you that went out to the Merrill, I hear about your girl. Yeah, those of you that went out to the bingo, nice.
My Lord, my Redeemer, I come to you.
Folks, also remember,
This day,
this Thursday, it's going to be happening at the New National Party headquarters.
I lost myself before the Lord.
It's the carnival edition of the After Work Line.
On my knees,
Come on out. Yeah, they might have one or two artists passing through. They've got food, they've got drinks and so on, sale, games and so on. Yeah.
I drop and breathe. Lord, first
You can interact with maybe some members of the party you haven't seen for a long time. You'll meet them up there. Yeah.
of all, I ask your
So
forgiveness.
that is taking place this Thursday. I'm telling you all, go on out and support. Go on out in your numbers. Make boss and go. Nice.
For the wrong things that I've done, you are the one
You have to support your party.
that hold me and make me into a better man. Lord, lost the mark from mine own eyes, so clearly I can see. Not my brother's fault, but mine, oh Lord, the sin that lies within me. Many a times we judge another, but we fail to look at ourselves.
And let me say a special good night to you all. Kiami, good night to you, Kiami. And folks, I see a lot of you coming in from England and so on. Now listen, you all know that you have a serious heat wave hitting the United States right now. The kind of temperatures are here in the Papayo. Yeah, they ain't even getting that down here. And you know the heat up there different than down here. So they're going through a heat wave. But you all know very well that in years when you have one extreme, you tend to get the other. I know Cathy Gwynn and message me and cuss me. You all, when you have one extreme, you usually get the other extreme as well coming up. So you all have to be extremely careful, yeah, and get your cocoa by Kiami for when you're going back up. Because you know the winter that is coming. And yes, like, what was it? Not Lord of the Rings. What's the name of the thing again, man? Yeah, Game of Thrones. Winter is coming. So while you have a very, very serious, they don't have a dry season, but summer, you know, when you have that kind of summer, what kind of winter does follow it? The winter in New York, where you just have to be digging out your car and all kind of thing to go where you have to go. So make sure that you don't have to send and ask somebody in Grenada to get some spice for you and to bring up a 2 bundle of spice for you and to pass by Cammy and get the clove. Get your clove yourself now and your chocolate and your stuff and bring it up early. Yeah? Go by Cammy. Get your cocoa. Yeah? And organize your spice hunting. If all you want to know to organize all your spice from, you go get somebody go call and say they are spice hunting. We know. Yeah? Somebody go bring spice by Cammy and say, watch Cammy. You understand? So Cammy had the cocoa, get your cocoa, because when you have this kind of heat, when you have that kind of weather, you know what kind of winter coming your way. It ain't no easy winter coming your way. You know it's the absolute reverse. Get your cocoa and stuff now and organize yourselves, all right? So folks, we are just on holding pattern until we get the political leader online with us, yeah?
While our inside remains so dirty, Lord, but we want to judge someone else. Before I wipe my brother's eye, for my own self will I pray until him is seen it.
And let me say a special good night to my regional listeners, those of you listening from various countries around the region. Those of you listening in St. Lucia, yeah, we know St. Lucia Carnival has just ended. We say a special good night to each and every one of you, yeah.
Sun mounted high, for my own self will I pray. Before you write your neighbor's wrong.
Our good friends out there in St. Vincent,
For your
themselves getting ready for general elections, huh?
own self you must pray.
Yeah, elections in St. Vincent are very soon.
There ought to be some self-correction.
Like within a couple months, definitely this year, yeah?
For your own self you must pray.
So we're looking on to see if Comrade Ralph will be able to pull it off again. However, the opposition will be able to dig themselves out of opposition. In fact, the opposition, if I remember correctly, the last time around, actually got more votes than the ULP, the ruling party, but they were unable to secure the win, yeah?
Lord on my
And that is possible. If you win some of the bigger constituencies and so the number of people that voted for you is more. But the other side win a set of smaller constituencies. The winning side could actually have less votes than the losing side, eh? So you have to be careful with that.
days I can see so much wrong and
And we know most of the leaders are in Grenada at this time. We welcome them. We are Grenadians. We welcome them.
iniquity.
We welcome all visitors to the Spice Isle at this point in time.
But redemption
I will reserve comment on the summit for now. I have a lot to say about it, but I will reserve comment on the summit for now.
starts with me, oh Lord. For my own self will I
Some kind of thing I see there.
pray. My Lord, you're my comforter. Your word has commanded me to pray for those that is on high, all those in authority. Lord government, I now bring before you, for there are the people's choice. But if they turn their backs on the people,
And we're working, folks. There are two thoughts in my mind. One of them is to shut down as of Wednesday and return the Wednesday after Carnival for the 2-week period, because I realize a lot of folks, they're involved in the different Carnival activities and they're not able to tune in as much as possible.
15 could turn into 5. For there are servants
So that's one way of thinking.
of the people, Lord, not servants to themselves. Serve not only your supporters, but
The other is to do this week and shut down next week, Monday.
every hungry mouth must be fed. Your
So we're playing around with it. We'll have a firm decision by tomorrow night.
position, I bring likewise.
I have to speak to other people. You know, I can't just make that decision on myself here on my own.
Even though they don't have a seat, but for the future sake of the party, Lord, the heart they bump to clean it. I hope the PM will listen my song. For the government I know pray. Do what's right, never what is wrong. For the government I know pray. This time and this is the light.
And you know, folks, it's the blasting telescope, and they're hoping we forget these things, eh? The blasting telescope has passed going close to, well, it's a month, getting close to a month now. It's not quite a month yet, and there's still no report, eh? And then you're going into Carnival, you're not going to be hearing from them anything about those sort of things during the Carnival period.
For the opposition I pray. Realize Nazim Buck is applied. For the
Brother Watts, yeah, I'm seeing that the heat in New York is very bad today and worse tomorrow, yeah.
opposition I
And let me just remind you all, wear light clothing. Don't go and wear no heavy jacket and them kind of thing. Wear light clothing, light colored clothing as well, because dark colors tend to draw more heat. So light clothing, light colored clothing. If you can wear hats, especially broad brim, them kind of thing, to keep the sun off of you a bit, use that. And make sure you have your water everywhere that you go. You have to stay hydrated, yeah? It's pretty easy to become hydrated in those kind of conditions and find yourself in a hospital emergency room wondering how you reach there, yeah?
let there be signs of unity. For a party can come before country, government and opposition, Lord. For both of them we love pray.
Well, my good friend, you want some spices in the UK? Dora, you're safe. Are serious or no? You're safe. Dory, I'll set you up. You'll get your cocoa and you'll get your spices and so, yeah. Are serious or no? Yeah, you're a good partner, man. I'm making sure you get.
My Lord, thou hast made me strong, and I can speak boldly.
Yes, indeed, folks. Let me just get the political leader on here. Nice, great. And let me just solve this here. Nice, yeah. Why is this behaving like that? Nice, yes. So we're just trying to get the political leader on with us. And once we do so, we're going to start for tonight. Yeah, let me just move that guy from the, now they want to see that guy. Yes, indeed. And oops, let me just get that audio issue sorted out there. Yeah, let me get that audio issue that is on in the background there sorted out. Nice, right. So I've got that sorted out. And let's just see, Honorable Emmalin Pierre, are you hearing us? All right, wonderful, wonderful. We're just making sure before we bring you up. And let me head over here and bring you up with us tonight. And we have on with us, folks, the political leader of the new National Party and leader of His Majesty's Opposition, Member of Parliament for St. Andrew Southeast, and nobody do beat her, the Honorable Emmalin Pierre. Good night to you, ma'am.
Good night, Sheldon. Good night to all your listeners and your viewers who are on tonight. It's definitely a pleasure to be on.
Yes, indeed. It's a pleasure to have you on with us here tonight. Several things have been happening, Honorable Emmalin Pierre. We want to get right into it because I don't want to run out of time tonight. I think we just run out of time sometime, and we have so much things to talk about. So I don't want to end up running out of time tonight, and we don't get time. Now, I don't know if you saw the clip that has been circulating where the Prime Minister was discussing that bill for this age of civil responsibility on his program recently, where he was speaking about that bill and trying to say that no consultations take place and basically trying to blame the NNP as usual with that bill. Did you see that? And what are your views in relation to what he said? How do you respond to what he said?
Well, the answer is yes. I saw the response, which obviously was a knee-jerk reaction to the public concerns expressed and the disappointment that the administration would seek to
shove down the throats of Grenadians a bill like this and trying to have it passed in Parliament, all three stages at the same time, meaning that once that bill was debated on that day, it went to the Senate, it would have gone to the Senate the next day, and then obviously gazetted and becoming law, right? So it means that all of the public talk, concerns, all of what was raised would have, really boiled down to naught had it not been for the intervention of the opposition calling on government to not take the bill through all of its stages, and civil society to a lesser degree, very small numbers there. But I would say Grenadians in general strongly expressing their concerns through social media and other platforms. I believe it is a perfect example of how we have to respond when things become a threat to our society, where actions and decisions are not in the best interest of our country and our people. So having listened to the Prime Minister on this subject, I have to say I'm so disappointed that such a knee-jerk reaction, an attempt to defend something that cannot be defended. Right? Let's start with why this cannot be defended. Number one, the lack of consultation. In his defense, the Prime Minister made the point that there's been extensive consultation on this. But very smart, before making that point, he referenced the Spotlight Initiative. Now, of course, I would probably say there have been extensive discussions on the Spotlight Initiative and components of the Spotlight Initiative, what is its overall objectives, etc., programs and activities. But there has not been consultation on the bill that was presented, laid in Parliament for first reading, that was brought to Parliament for first reading. There was not consultation on this. And if the government wishes to argue that there was consultation on this bill, then I would love to see the list of persons who participated, the organizations who participated and supported reducing the age of civil legal responsibility from 18 to 16 and giving the Minister of Legal Affairs the authority to do so for a child who is as young as 12 years. I would love to see who are these people who supported this and who would have been part of the consultation on this. So you cannot use broad consultation to justify bringing a bill like this. That is the first point. And I found that to be very unfortunate that this would be said. But immediately after the Prime Minister's comment, and he also went on himself to make the point that this is not, again, knee-jerk reaction trying to defend. You don't try to defend something like this. You go to the people, listen to their concerns, and then you make amendments where you have to. But you don't try to just force it upon them. So in an attempt to do so, he said, and of course all of his supporters thereafter made the point, that this is not new. This bill was drafted under the New National Party. And I think a couple nights ago, I tried to explain the process as it relates to drafting and approving bills. Any ministry can come up with a framework. Any ministry, any officer within a ministry can come up with guidelines. And I remember in Ministry of Education, officers within the Ministry of Education, led by Sister Gertrude Niles, that exercise where we were reviewing the Education Act. And everyone participated, everybody gave ideas, and they came up with those ideas. But what is very important to note, these are just ideas and suggestions. Those ideas and suggestions must go through a channel and a process until they get to the cabinet of Grenada. So all of those ideas and suggestions about a change to the Education Act never got to cabinet. So can I say the government of the New National Party drafted legislations for changing the Education Act? I can't say that. The same way, if there were discussion among officers or private consultant and that person drafted a bill, that bill goes to the Attorney General, it goes to the officers within legal affairs, they discuss it, they put their own legal jargons and they do that. But this bill is absolutely, or this draft is nothing until the cabinet takes a decision that it wants to take this to Parliament. And I challenge anybody in this administration. I challenge anybody in this administration to provide evidence that the Cabinet of Grenada approved a bill, a draft bill, to reduce the age of legal responsibility from 18 to 16 and to give the Minister for Legal Affairs the authority to reduce it to 12. I challenge anybody. If you speak to the former Attorney General, that person will, of course, also be able to shed clear light upon this because it never happened. So this administration governs this country in a way that whenever their backs are against the wall, whenever people disagree with them, their automatic response is, NNP was there for 23 years. Automatic response number one. Automatic response number two, NNP that started it. It's like you just press response and you get those automated responses. And it's so unfortunate because you know what? There are intelligent people out here. There are intelligent people out here who think and who research and who know better. So intelligent people out here would now start thinking critically and asking themselves, okay, so if in truth and in fact, this bill was drafted by NNP, why is it that NNP never brought it to Parliament? That's what intelligent, critical thinking people are going to start asking. Why is it that you said it was drafted in 2021, NNP left office in 2022? How is it that this bill never surfaced under the New National Party administration? But worse yet, if this bill was prepared since 2021, as you claim, why is it you're just bringing it in 2025? There are smart people out here, there are intelligent people out here, and these are the kind of questions they would ask. So let me make the point again. This bill was never brought to the cabinet of the New National Party. It was never a discussion of the cabinet of ministers, this bill. And let me make the point also. Those who know best, if you go back to any document that was done under the NNP administration, whether it's in a ministry or in a department or wherever, you would find that this document will have things in it that are very different to any document that anyone would find. So I'm making the point, and I want to stress this point, because this could not have been a bill for Parliament unless it came to the cabinet of ministers. And of course, in this current administration, there's a former minister who will be able to verify that this bill never came to the cabinet of Grenada, not discussed, not given approval. So that is the first thing. You don't use those words, NNP was there for 23 years, NNP started it. You don't use those words over and over and over and just get away with it. People are going to start reading through it. And you repeat it so many times that people start seeing it as a refrain, a road match. And they start examining it closely when you say it. So that's the first thing. The second thing that I want to reference that the Prime Minister said when he responded and attempted to justify taking this bill to Parliament. He referenced situation with children in Grenada. And while there is some truth in what he said, that there are children who are abused, there are girls who are raped, there are girls who are abused by their fathers are having sex with their daughters. I listened, and he almost sounded like this is almost every home in Grenada. This is the exception here. One case is too many, but I'm saying that this is not the norm. So if you take 10 homes, you're not going to find 9 out of 10 where this situation prevails. Therefore, if you're going to bring a bill to address an exception, then you want to word the bill in such a way that you cater for exceptions. So you don't make it the rule for everyone, where everyone is not at risk or everyone is not affected. So those cases that you spoke about, whether it be children who are raped, etc., fine, no problem. We do have circumstances like these, but any bill drafted can cater for these children in a special way. But let me make reference to another point that was made when that point came up. The Prime Minister gave the impression that children who are 12 years, for example, if they are raped, if they are being abused at home by their fathers and other person, they are not able to access information. They are not able to access treatment. Well, I don't think it's a case that he doesn't know. He must know that currently the Child Protection Act makes accommodation, and that act is specially designed and passed to protect these very said children at risk. And so a person or a child, let's say a child, who is in any of these situations don't have to report to a parent, because he was making the point children cannot talk to their parents, and children don't feel comfortable talking to their mothers and their parents about these things, and sometimes it is the very parent who is abusing, so you can't talk to them. No problem. Guess what? A child can report a situation to anyone, whether it's abuse, whether it's rape, whatever the situation, to anyone. And you know what the law further states? The law makes provision for mandatory reporting. So let us assume you're a teacher and I am a 12-year-old child, and I say to you, my father is abusing me. Do you know that the law can fine you for not reporting what I told you? Mandatory reporting. Do you also know that the law caters for the state to literally take custody of children in certain circumstances where they are abused? So rape, incest, whatever the case might be. So there are children right now in foster care, in homes, because they end up in situations like these where the state now automatically has a responsibility to protect them, right? And that is why the law is designed in such a way for these persons. So there's the mandatory reporting, right? That once you see something, you have a clue that something is happening, you have a responsibility under the law to report that. Mm-hmm. And that is why sometimes I've been a teacher myself. There are students who were taken to social services, child welfare authority, the police in some instances, and some of those cases where the parent might have been the perpetrator, right? So the law already provides for those cases. I am fully supportive at any time for strengthening and making greater provision, right, to protect these persons, but not in the form, definitely not in the form that is within this bill, that is brought forward in this bill, right? And so when I listen to the Prime Minister, I don't think that he was very genuine in accepting responsibility that this bill needs to be revised. It needs to go back to the people, parents, teachers, social workers. People need to, mothers, fathers, people just need to be consulted on as it relates to the content of this bill. Because what you're doing there is literally taking away the authority, the rights of many parents of this country. And I listened carefully. He said children need access to more education, more information. Well, of course, let us expand our programs in the schools. Let us expand our programs on GIS, wherever, so that they can have more information. And then he added, not in the same breath as he said information and education, he went on to say treatment. Well, guess what? This is where most people have serious concern. When you start talking about treatment, you are raising a literal ant's nest there, right? Because there are so many questions that are going to come up about treatment.
No, as you mentioned that, let me ask this question, because it was very broad in that section in relation to what services these young people, it says sexual and reproductive, including. It did not exclude any of the services under sexual and reproductive. So it meant if a young lady decides she wants to get pregnant at the age of 16 and she goes to get fertility treatment, she can do that under that act legally, if that act were to pass, because it says sexual and reproductive. So it opens a broad range of treatments, including hormonal treatments, that children would be able to access without the knowledge of their parents. And remember, they're living with their parents. They're not 18. They're still in the school system. They're still going to school in uniform, everything.
Cultural and moral considerations must be given when you are drafting these legislation. And you can't do legislations like that without key stakeholders, for example, the church. So extensive consultation was held, says the Prime Minister. We consulted with or engaged the Conference of Churches, the Alliance of Evangelical Churches, the Adventist Church, the Muslim community, and leaders of all of these organizations that include various denominations are not aware of the content of the bill. So what kind of extensive consultation could you have done that these people are hearing about the bill for the first time the day before the Parliament sitting?
What about the Bar Association? I was hearing some talk that the Bar Association also said that they didn't have consultation in relation to what was contained in that bill, because again, the Minister of Legal Affairs was being given full authority in discussion with the Minister of Health here to step in and to allow children as young as 12, young boys, young girls as young as 12, to make these decisions on their own and to decide which treatment they would like to receive.
So I mentioned the church from a moral standpoint, but I can add that I had several conversations with various lawyers, and this is the day before the bill is going to Parliament, and none of those who I spoke to were aware. I had to send the bill to them. Civil society, I had to send the bill to some persons who are known to be actively involved in matters related to children. I had to send the bill to them. So if you consulted extensively, how is it that these key stakeholders, the day before the bill was going to be passed in Parliament, they did not know anything about it?
Then
something fundamentally wrong.
You also have a situation where you have organizations like, for instance, I would ensure that the Grenada Union of Teachers had their eyes on a bill like that. You're dealing with children. You're also dealing with individuals who spend a significant part of their day with these children. And I would definitely, if I'm consulting on something like that, bring in people like the Grenada Union of Teachers. Let them have a say in relation to it. Let them have a look. They're the ones, sometimes they're, as you mentioned, you were a teacher. Teachers are sometimes the ones that identify that there is a problem with that child. She's normally this way and she's not for the lab. I've been watching her a couple of days now. Something is up, so you call her after class, you speak to her and you find out there's an issue. So there has not been that.
Who is likely to be the first person that a child would speak to if they cannot speak to their mother or to their father? More than likely is going to be their teacher. And none of the teachers that I spoke to, even at the level of principal, that I spoke to a few persons who had no clue about the content of this bill. So something is fundamentally wrong somewhere.
Is it a case, therefore, that within the next few months we can see this bill returning to Parliament and being put forward to Parliament again? Or is it a case that that's the end of the bill? I believe I know the answer, but folks out there may not know the answer. What is supposed to take place, according to the discussions between the opposition and the government? What is supposed to take place from here on with that bill? Well, those set of bills, because there's also the change in the age for marriage and so on. So in relation to those bills, where to from here?
And that is why I want to start by commending you for going into these bills, and I would trust that you would keep them alive as part of the discussion on this program, because the bills were brought for first reading, which means that they're going to come back at some point for second and third reading, and then they're going to be passed into law. Now, we cannot afford for this to happen without the general public, without the stakeholders having a say as it relates. This bill has to be revised. I cannot see how, with the level of concern raised in the public, I can't see how the government would come back with this bill in its current form for second reading. But crazy things do happen. So I would say it is important for people like yourself who have a platform to continue to address this matter. It is important for the churches, civil society, people in general, to become acquainted with the content of the bill, to discuss the bill, get information about the bill, and to express their views on the bill. Now, there are those persons who really don't care. And you know what's sad? Some of the persons who more or less, in other words, say that they don't care, because their party is more important than the protection of children. I want to encourage them that there are times when party doesn't have to be first. Party does not have to always be first. There are some national issues. There are some important issues. There are issues where the lives of people are at stake. There are issues where the future of the country is at stake. In those situations, party must be secondary. And even if this came on an NNP administration, I would have had serious objections and concern. So for me, this is not about politics, it's not about party. And that's why I'm happy to say this. An NNP administration never approved this bill for Parliament, never. Right? And we must be moving forward, educating people on the content. So some persons who say, the bill is great, the bill is good, nothing is wrong with the bill, never read the bill, don't even know what the bill is about. But they jump on a political train and they're heading to somewhere they don't even know where they're going. Put aside your political preferences and do something for your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, whoever is to come, generations to come. Let us make sure that our children are protected. And I heard the conversation referencing only girls. And I heard, unfortunately, one parent said, I don't care because I don't have girl child. Which is,
When their
I
boy,
couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it.
when their
But let me
son
say,
decides he
it
wants
has
to take
no,
estrogen, they would learn.
it has nothing to do with boy or girl, right? It's not specific to boy or girl. This is about children. So whether we're speaking about male or female, children. And so every parent, even if you don't have children, should be concerned about the content of this current bill and what it is proposing and where we are heading with this current bill.
No, there's also the issue with that bill, and the thought was just there, it jumped out my head. But in relation to this bill again, now we are talking about a bill that has been put forward, most likely will be coming back into Parliament. We hope they don't try to sneak it in the way they tried to sneak in this one and get it to be passed and okay, because by now it would have been law in the state of Grenada by this point in time. So we are hoping that more discussion takes place in relation to this and in relation to other bills that will come, because it is not the first time in this itineration of the National Democratic Congress in government that we are seeing bills being pushed through by force through the Parliament. They just decide we're doing that and pushing through these things through the Parliament. So we're hoping that indeed some more discussion, and this becomes a habit now, that discussions take place with these things, because it is not simply something that to say, okay, you're doing a bill with a minor change, a minor amendment to something else. This is a bill that is affecting families, each and every single Grenadian, each and every single parent in the island, each and every single grandparent in the island, because sometimes the parent is gone, the grandparent is the guardian or guardian, because they are the ones that would make the decisions on behalf of these children. So it affects everyone. And we can't close our eye to it and say that, okay, that's the end of that discussion. We have to continue speaking about it and asking the government to see where they are with it as well.
And to make the very important point that we are aware of some of the challenges faced by children in this country. We are aware. The Prime Minister spoke of the hypocrisy of the challenges. We are not being hypocrites. We are aware that there are children in Grenada who face many challenges, inclusive of incest, inclusive of rape, and others. But we are also saying that there are many other children in Grenada. There are many parents in Grenada who are excellent parents. You cannot assume every parent in this country abdicate their responsibility and are not good parents. You cannot look at the picture in that way. There are so many parents out there who are so very protective of their children and who are raising their children blood, sweat, and tears, doing the very best, ensuring that they create the right environment for their children and ensuring that their children are protected. So we cannot just assume that we have to create legislation where all these children in all these homes where they are well protected and they are well educated and parents are open and speaking about the issues, we cannot just assume that this is not happening and there need to be a law to take care of all of these parents, right? And I want to commend the parents out there and Sheldon to encourage all parents to have the conversations with your children. I think we've made so much progress in this country. When I think of the conversations that we are having now with our children, and we think back of the conversations that we did not have with our parents, we have come a long way. So I encourage parents to have those conversations with your children. And I often tell parents this: if you don't, somebody else would have the conversation. If you don't, Google would have the conversation. YouTube would have the conversation. So it is better that you have the first conversation. So we are saying, yes, we agree that there must be information, education that is, and I want to introduce this term, Sheldon, age specific. Because we also have to be conscious that at different ages, children are prepared for different levels of information and education. Of course, with technology and all that is available to them, we know the reality out there, but we still have to preserve our children the best way we can, by helping them to understand that certain access to certain information is not healthy for them. It's not to their advantage. And we want to ensure that we're not just saying, okay, because pornography is out there, well, if a 4-year-old sees it, if a 5-year-old sees it, that's okay. No, we need to teach them the values. We need to teach them what they should be and should not be exposed to, but we need to give them the age-specific information as young as possible. Age-specific information, because you can teach the same thing and introduce the same thing at different levels to suit the age range of different children.
Now, folks, again, we have on with us our political leader, the Honorable Emmalin Pierre. We're speaking a bit here about the bills that came to Parliament. They have been laid for the first reading, and they are now to be discussed and so on. So we're discussing a bit about them. And one of the things, Honorable Pierre, we've been hearing a lot of folks from outside of Grenada, the Grenadian diaspora, very important people. We love each and every one of you. But I think some of them need to take something into consideration, because you're hearing some saying, okay, in our country, this is okay, or in the country I am, this is okay, that is okay. The health system in those countries is different to the health system we have in Grenada right now. When the Minister of Health tells you that there's been no improvement in healthcare in Grenada for the past 2 going on 3 years, you understand that we're dealing with a different kettle of fish here. So the services that are going to be available to those children are different than what would be available, let's say, in Canada or in different states in the United States, because we know it's different in different states, than what is available in Florida, or what is available in New York, or what is available in North Carolina is different than what we have available here. So simply saying that we should transplant what exists in those countries and enforce it here in Grenada, to me is problematic, because you're trying to force us. Number one, we have a much smaller population. We are much closer population. We have a different culture in Grenada. And to try to transplant something from a place with 30 million people or 10 million people to Grenada does not necessarily mean it would work, especially with the healthcare system we have in Grenada at this point in time. And even though we do have people like the Planned Parenthood, etc., who do offer some assistance and education and so on. We have our good friend Curleen Charles and her organization, and Grenchap and other organizations who offer assistance, education, and so on. There's still a lot to be done, just to say, just allow children to just go ahead and access whatever is available.
And that is why I said earlier too, we have to be considerate as it relates. We have to consider culture. We also have to consider the values of our society, our Grenadian society, not the world. So many of these initiatives, so let's go to the spotlight or any other initiative. Remember, many of those are global initiatives, right? Many of those are not specific to Grenada. And so what you would find is that there may be recommendations in there, there may be initiatives in there that really does not fit and suit our culture and the way we want our Grenadian society to be. And I'm speaking general and broadly here, not specific to the Spotlight, right? The Spotlight initiative. I'm making the point that when it comes down now to the laws that you are going to pass, when it comes down to the programs that you're going to implement, those must be country specific. Not because it works in the US means it's going to work in Grenada. Not because it's good for the US means that it's good for Grenada, because the data that would inform these programs may be very different, right? And not only that, the values, the morals that guide the moral compass of these societies may well be different. And so what is quite normal and okay in an international community or society might be very different in a Caribbean society. And so we have to be considerate. We have to be sensitive when we are passing these laws, when we are signing on to these agreements, and when they are international, meaning that even if you don't sign, they obtain, right? You still have, and when you have to be guided by them, you still have to decide, what do you take and what do you leave? What do you remain silent on? Because at the end of the day, one size cannot fit all in this society. One size cannot fit all in the international community. We have to be relevant to our culture and to what it is that guides us morally as a society here. Are we still a Christian community, a Christian society? Do we have Christian values that guide us? And we have to take all of those into consideration. But I believe if we just listen to the people, if we just listen to people, this can be an excellent guide for government when forming, creating, drafting legislation of this nature. So it's quite okay to have a first draft that might be in line with an international guideline or framework. But you must now bring that down to the level of our society and to see how people feel, how the leaders of the country feel. And leaders of the country are not just political leaders. There are so many different leaders in our society at all levels, and they must be on board with some of these decisions. It's not just for politicians to make.
Indeed. And also we're facing these things at a point in time when significant funding has been cut. Remember, USAID and all of these programs have been cut, which provided support to many of these programs in the islands, not just Grenada, but in all the islands in the Lesser Antilles and so on. A lot of USAID funding was assisting some of these programs, and that has been withdrawn. USAID doesn't exist again, and some of these programs don't even exist. So what you should be doing is trying to show up where you've lost your funding there, see what programs can be set up to offer specific services so that you could maintain at least and then surpass the record of what you had before. For instance, things like mother-to-child HIV transmission, that you've been able to zero that, to make sure that you continue to educate people and so on, putting more funds into areas like that, educating our people more on these things, educating more at the school level in relation to these things, so that our children would be more prepared, the parents would be more prepared, and as a society we're more prepared, rather than going draconian.
That's why I would like to see the government invest more in education and provided information at the school level, the community level. That brings me back to the values-based education program. This was headed by Bishop Devon Roche and a team that included other spiritual leaders from various organizations, denominations, etc. And this was intended to provide support at the school level. And of course, this administration did not continue this program. Now, we also are working on a special initiative to provide more support at the school level, getting the churches at the community level. So whether it's a Catholic school, you have the Catholic community already there, and we were encouraging increasing presence at the school level. And those schools that are quote-unquote government schools, ensuring the spiritual leadership and guidance to support the management of these schools, because at the end of the day, something must guide our society. And the question is, what is guiding us? Everybody just do what they want, shoot when they want, kill when they want. What is guiding us? What are the principles that guide our society? Right? Love for each other, respecting each other. What are we doing in terms of teaching our children those? And these are some of the things that I would like to see us invest in more on. Cutting certain wastage within the sector on travel and all of these things. Investing more in programs at the school level. You know, we know what is happening. We are aware of the challenges. But the question is, how do you solve the problem? How do you address the challenges? By making everything just accessible and saying, do what you want, when you want, how you want, leave your parents out of the process. That's not a way you solve problems like that. right? And what you want is change in behavior, right? And if you're going to have change in behavior, what we're doing is not going to encourage change in behavior. What we're doing is probably going to encourage the behavior in many cases. And so we want to be mindful of the reality that we face in these situations.
Indeed. And Honorable Pierre, I don't know if folks want to call. I'm going to try to take 1 or 2 calls. I doubt you will be able to hear properly, but I will pass on the message.
So folks,
so folks, if you want to call, you can give us a call right about now. And because Honorable Pierre would have to run off on us in a little while. So, but note that she will be on with us every Monday. We're going to be discussing different issues on a Monday, and she'll be on with us every Monday from henceforth, as long as she is available. So, and that don't mean that she can give us a little call during the week too, according to the issue at hand. So, folks, we're going to open the phone lines, 1473-440-7377. You can give us a call, and we'll pass the information on, and you'll be able to hear from the Honorable Emmalin Pierre.
While you're with your caller, Sheldon, I really want to strongly suggest that as the week go through, that you attempt to engage additional persons on this particular subject, because this is too important to just allow it to return to Parliament, second reading, third reading, and it becomes law. People have to understand the implications, and people need to have an opportunity to voice their views on this important subject.
Okay,
I realize
we have a caller online. Caller, go right ahead.
Yes, I'm thinking, inquiring if they pass that bill, can the next administration repeal those crazy bills and bring us back to normal? That's the question I got for tonight.
Okay, great. Thank you so very much. So, Honorable Pierre, the question is, if that bill is passed, if an incoming administration would be able to repeal those bills, remove those bills, and bring things back to a sense of normalcy.
Sheldon, I wouldn't even want to respond to that question directly. Caller, what I would say, we cannot allow this bill to be passed. So I don't want us to start talking and having the conversation if it's passed. We cannot allow this bill in its current form to go through all of its stages in Parliament and to become law. We cannot. This bill, it's rights based. Right? It's rights based without giving consideration for values based. You see the point I'm making? It ignores values. And to me, the heavy concentration is on rights. So let us give more rights. Somebody said, let's celebrate that our 12-year-olds now have rights. Well, rights carry responsibility. And the question is, the responsibility of a 12-year-old. Let us think about it. The level of maturity of a 12-year-old. So we can celebrate that a 12-year-old can now do certain things without parental approval. And the more we say this is the more we convince these 12-year-olds to begin to behave in a particular way. Again, shifting further away from the cultural and moral foundation that this country has built over years.
Mm-hmm. We have a caller on the line. Caller, proceed.
Hey, Sheldon, good night, and good night to Mrs. Pierre. One of the questions that coming to my mind, if the bill pass, okay, who will be responsible for paying for that child to go under this thing you're talking about, like
the different types of treatment?
Exactly. Where the child will be getting that money? Will the same parents sponsor that child, or will the state sponsor the child? Because if you're telling me that the child cannot, they'll have to tell parents nothing, not to give parents no consent. Would the state be paying for that bill, or would the parents still have to give the child that pay for the child doctor and everything like that? Yeah. And two, can the opposition start protesting, build up a chance that where you protest, so you send a strong message against that bill because, for example, I have a 12-year-old daughter. I put that child sit down and I speak to that child. I tell them the dangers of sex. I tell her the dangers of this and what the consequences of that and it's sort of things like that. You understand? So
Okay.
at the same time, consultation to start from the home. Thank you very much.
All right, my brother. Thank you so very much. Yes, indeed. Honorable Pierre, the questions there are one, who is going to be paying for these procedures if you're saying that the children, because obviously, remember, children can't go out to work until they're 18. They must be in school until they're 18. So if they're 16, who is going to be paying? And in particular for the cases that are under 16 and the Minister of Legal Affairs and the Minister of Health take over and decide that this treatment is okay for this child, who is going to be paying? And his second question is, as regards, is the opposition ready to stage protests in relation to this bill as well? Those two questions. You're on mute for some reason, Honorable Pierre. We're not hearing you.
Okay.
Yeah, you're back.
This is so far-reaching that as an opposition, we are going to do all that is necessary on our part, engaging and supporting our communities as it relates to standing up for the rights of children, but not taking away the rights of parents to protect their children, right? So if it means that, and we believe that this is in the best interest of our children, whatever is in the best interest of our children, we would be prepared to so do. But I want to make the point that when we speak about all sexual and reproductive health treatments, we are opening up this so wide, and we are expanding opportunities that, generally speaking, children within this age range do not have access to. And then the question would now be, would those children who don't normally access, will they now access because it is available? Will they now access it and take advantage of? So for example, you have maybe someone has some situation that probably was brought to the attention of the minister, and as the mother of the child or the father of the child, whether the situation is proven to be factual or not, you have no clue that your child is accessing contraceptive methods, right? Whether it's oral or otherwise. So your 12-year-old can be in your house and you have no clue that that child is accessing and using contraceptive methods. What about diagnosis, treatment? So your child could be taking treatment for whatever, and you just don't know. You have no information because the law allows you to be left out in this conversation, right? It's frightening. And as I said, there are exceptions. Of course, let us deal with the exceptions within the bill. But right now, the bill makes no reference to exceptions. It's everybody. And that is what is frightening. But the caller is also right. The bill is very silent on who is paying for these services. Because you go to Grenada Planned Parenthood, you go to some even public facilities. And, well, let me just give an example. I had a parent who said to me, she rushed her daughter to the hospital, and child was having serious abdominal pain. And one of the diagnostic tests that was done was a pregnancy test. And she had to find the monies to pay for the test, right? So the question is, who will be paying for these services?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's nothing in the bill that say the state is going to take responsibility. So who is going to pay for them, right? Are we now encouraging 12-year-olds to get other people, you know? And we know what we culturally, again, what we say to our 12-year-olds about thing from people. So you have we speak to them, and we've been telling them that since they're 3 or they're 4, they're 5. Be careful. Don't ask people for things without telling me that you're asking them, because you never know where that would lead to. Somebody bring you some KFC, say no thank you if you don't. It's a stranger.
And I've been
You
saying
know
that to my
what
son just this evening.
what are we encouraging? What are we encouraging? Because the bill is very silent on this.
Okay, I think we have another caller. Let me go to the phone line. Hello, good evening.
Hello,
Hi, good
this is
evening.
the geezer. This is the geezer from the UK.
Yes, my good friend from the UK. Go right ahead.
Right, to your lady now, do not let this situation happen. Do not let this thing pass, because if it passes, you're going to cause a lot of problems. In there, in the UK, we would never let any bill like that go through. So please do not let this bill go through.
And you all have
All
excellent
right.
health. You all have, well, let me don't say excellent, but you all have okay health care over there.
Yes, we
In the
do have
UK.
healthcare. Yes, we do have good healthcare, but at the end of the day, the money needs to come from somewhere, and your healthcare and everything else needs to be top notch, just like the UK. But she has to win, and please do not let this bill go through for the children. Do not let it go through, because it will
Okay.
cause a lot of problems in the near future.
Okay.
Please.
Thank you so very much, my friend. All right.
Okay, Governor. Have a nice evening.
Lovely. Yes, so my good friend out there, my geezer friend as he calls himself, says we should not allow this bill to go through, that you should not, under any circumstances, allow this bill to go through. And he's calling from the UK, where they have, some folks may curse if I say excellent, because there's always a discussion about the NHS out there in the UK, but they have good healthcare out there, and many services that are available. And they would be very, very careful to institute something like this, even with the healthcare services that they have offering, much less for a state as Grenada, with the issues that you just mentioned, and that we have. What happens, for instance, in a case where there's a father that's raping the daughter does not have to tell the mother or anyone else that she needs to go and do whatever tests or whatever procedures or whatever, and she goes ahead and does that, and the abuse continues. She can go and get whatever treatment. She can go and get whatever medical procedure that she thinks is necessary at the age of 16. And there's no way for folks to go. We have another call online. Let me get this caller on. Hello, good night.
Hi, good night.
Good night,
Good
Miss
night to
Wendy.
good night to my political leader and future PM. Good night, Talking Points family.
Yes, good night. Go right ahead.
Yeah, Sheldon, I wanted to add something. So, the way I see it, abuse takes place all over the world. Grenada is no different. There are many ways to skin a cat. So, for example, teachers, healthcare professionals, social workers, they are all trained and should be trained. I don't know if it's different in Grenada, but I know in New York they should be trained just to be able to identify abuse. So let's just say, because I'm a family nurse practitioner, so I can see children too. So if a child comes into my office, or if I go to a child's house and I see signs of abuse. Okay, one, all I can do is call the child, speak to her, separate. But there are ways you can identify it. You don't need a child to tell you I'm abused for you to know that. You're supposed to be trained when you have those professions to able to identify certain clues and know, and then you report it. I'm a mandated reporter. If I see something, I have to report it. If I don't report it and something happens to that child or to the elderly, I'm getting in trouble. I could lose my license.
And you wouldn't be
So
able
there
to
are
sleep
ways.
anyway.
Exactly. Another thing is every year, because my mom is a teacher, she works in public school. Every year we both have to do a child abuse training. So before you start a job as a teacher, a daycare worker, a nurse practitioner, a doctor, a RN, you have to take a child abuse course.
Mhm.
Now, every single year, we have to do a refresher. You don't
So
do
you,
it,
you
and
do child abuse courses to learn the different techniques and how to identify
yeah,
if children have been abused, and then on top of
yes.
that, you do that on a yearly basis every year. So whether you're a
Every year
teacher,
you
you're a
have to, like
nurse.
it, yes, yes, like
Mhm.
May, like April 1st.
Mhm.
My mom was in one computer, I was on the other. I came home late, and we were both trying to meet the deadline, because if you don't submit that child abuse certificate within a certain time, no work for you next day.
Wow.
You have to. And like I said, it's one in nursing 101. When you go in there, they teach you how to identify child abuse.
Well, abuse in
Child abuse
general,
is
isn't
a
it?
biggie.
Because even abuse
It's
to
general.
elderly and so on as
That's
well.
what I'm saying too. Elderly too. And I had a recent incident where I had to report an elderly person. I sat there and I didn't want to do it, but then I look and my job is on the line, and I'm looking at that patient. She can't walk. She's 80 something. She can't walk. She can't move. She's blind, and she has herpes.
Hmm.
And I said to the son, how did she get did she have it before? No, this is new. So right there and then I'm sorry, but I had to report it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Indeed.
I'm just saying that you don't have to go through that lengths. You could just have training. Train the people that are involved with those kids, so that they can either be able to identify, or if the child comes to you, you're able to handle the situation instead of doing all of this.
Okay. Nurse, we'd like to thank you so very much.
Okay, have
All
a
right.
good night.
Thank you. Yes, so Honorable Pierre Nurse Maguire was speaking there about in her field of work as a nurse, and also in her mother's field of work as an educational person in the field of education, that they both have to do training in identifying abuse and so. Now, I know in Grenada we have the Child Protection Act. Is it that we need to strengthen probably certain aspects of the Child Protection Act? Because we see a situation that has been happening for quite a while now. We see 13 and 14 and 15-year-old children going to the general hospital, having children, and then we do not hear anything about who has been arrested, or if anybody has been arrested, or so on, in relation to them coming to the general hospital and having children, because obviously they are below the age of consent. Is it that we need additional protections, or that we need additional enforcement? What is the issue there, and how does the Child Protection Act speak to that?
And you see, these are the questions that the policymakers, the lawmakers, have to be considering. These are the very question. So these questions must now inform the action. So we already have a Child Protection Adoption Act, and we have to now ask ourselves, over the years of implementation, are there loopholes? Are there areas where we need to strengthen? What about support services? So, for example, I can tell you, almost any social worker would tell you, when you take a child who has been abused or raped or anything like that, you take that child to court, and the very setting in the court system, in the courthouse, is one that child cannot feel comfortable enough to even speak and to share what would have happened. The distance between the child and the perpetrator, for example, that person looking you straight in your eyes. So what are some of the things that we need to do that we've recognized over the years might be areas of challenges and weaknesses that we need to improve on? Is this going to solve the problem? Is this bill going to solve the problem? Is this new law going to solve the problem? The answer to that is no. Do we need to better equip our social workers? Do we need to provide additional support for those who want to go further their education, expand their knowledge? Do we need to have more systems and ways in which people can identify what's happening in certain homes and to provide necessary support. So as you mentioned the act, I pulled up and this is 2010, right? Now, something that I mentioned, and I want to actually read it from the act, because I've been making the point, the Child Protection Act was actually passed for the exact reason that we are debating right now, we are discussing, to protect children, right? And listen what it says. Reports can be made, and this is referencing the act now, the key points coming out of that. Reports can be made anonymously. So you can report something that you observe, something that you know is happening, and you don't ever have to say your name, right? Confidentiality does not prevent reporting, right? Except for attorney-client privilege, and you could well understand why. Failure to report, and that is why I said the current act protects our children. Failure to report is an offense, punishable by a fine of up to 5,000 or imprisonment for up to 3 months. So what this is saying, if your neighbor, Sheldon, is abusing his daughter and you know what is happening, or the child told you what is happening, and you fail to report, you can go to Richmond Hill Prison for 3 months. You can be called upon by the court to pay up to $5,000 as a fine.
Well, I know of one
All
case
of these
where
are measures to protect the child.
I know of one case where a mother was actually arrested and charged because she knew of the abuse of her child and she did not report it. And she was arrested and charged. And that happened just fairly recently, sometime within the last 2 years or so, that a parent was arrested.
Also, the court could also consider you unfit to raise that, to continue to raise that child. So it's not a situation where we have no laws to protect that child and that child has to stay and continue to take that abuse. There are within the law provisions for reporting. There are, and it doesn't even have to be that you know the whole facts of the matter or the whole truth of the matter. Even if you have a suspicion, an observation, you saw something, you can report that mandatorily. You are expected to report that. And so when you look at one of the sections, it says a health professional, dental practitioner, an allied health practitioner, registered pursuant to the Health Practitioners Act, a nurse, a mental health, and it goes on, a school principal, a teacher. All of these people, when you start speaking about protecting a child, these are the people that you need to point to who will be looking out for these children, who will be able to report observations, things that they know about that child. Now, when you give the right to a minister, now, think about it. A person, a minister for legal affairs, and mind you, this person can be anybody at any time. Let us just think about the risk of this, you know. The Attorney General or the Minister for Legal Affairs can be anybody at any time, meaning that person can change at any time. Now, are we going to leave this to the discretion of this one individual to decide what happens with your 12-year-old? Or we want to continue to have confidence and trust in this wide range of officials and officers within our system, or nurses or teachers or doctors or social workers? Do we have a level of confidence in these people that they know what they're about, they know what to expect, they know what's happening on the ground? And if you ask me, this act in its current form, the Child Protection Act, there is so much in there to protect our children. And I'm saying, if there is need to strengthen it, if there is need to review some of the things in it, based on past experience, I'm saying let us do that also. But what we are seeing coming is something that deviates and goes so far off in terms of what we have and what we need. But I close, Sheldon, by saying the focus needs to be on support for our children out there. You know how many children out there cannot go to school? You know how many children out there did not get books in the school book program? Do you know how many children out there are belonging to families that are finding it very difficult to put food on the table because of the rising cost of living? Do you know how many children out there are facing challenges because of the current economic situation? As I said, cost of living. Mommy lost her job because the employer cannot afford to keep her, because he now has to pay additional expenses, minimum wage increase, right? Or he has the additional cost of managing and running this operation that he has to let mommy go home, right? And so I am saying what we need to do is to provide more support for our children out there. Those who are in school, I remember many years ago, there used to be a program where the various churches, whether it's Catholic, Anglican, whatever, Seventh-day Adventist, Pentecostal, they would visit the schools from time to time, hold session with children. You have the social workers, the counselors. These are areas that we need to expand. We should be encouraging 12-year-olds. We should be encouraging them to abstain. There was a time in Grenada where abstinence was the message. And of course, not everybody would listen to the message. Not everybody would follow the message. But we still live in a society where almost every parent out there will want the message to be abstinence. Doesn't mean that you don't educate, but we push and we promote abstinence, because we know what happens when a 12-year-old gets pregnant. We know what happens when a 12-year-old feel that I am protected by contraceptive. I can do whatever I want to do when I want to do it. And as I'm saying, we are conscious of the realities of our society. But why not increase our message on abstinence? Why not increase our message on values? Why not do more as it relates to parenting and teaching our parents the values that they must pass on to their little girls, little boys, right? Why such a heavy emphasis on rights and access? These are the concerns that, generally speaking, our parents out there, our leaders out there have. And we must not allow those who lead at the government level to dictate to us how our children must grow up, how our children must be groomed, and how we must teach our children, and what we must teach our children. What should we provide so that our children can access? I really do hope that this would be a moment in Grenada where those of us of like mind, those of us who value the same thing, those of us who want the same future for children of Grenada, not just our personal children, the children of Grenada, those of us who want the best for the children of Grenada, would stand together to fight for the children of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. Sheldon, thank you so much for having me on tonight.
Indeed, and we want to thank you so very much for taking some time off of your busy schedule to be on with us. And we're still making the decision in relation to Monday night next week, so we're going to confirm. I have to talk to you on it, so to confirm what will be taking place. So indeed, we want to tell you have a very good night and do enjoy the rest of your week this week on behalf of the Talking Point family.
Good night to you, and good night to all your viewers and your listeners.
All right, thank you. Yes, indeed, folks, we were speaking there with the Honorable Emmalin Pierre, leader of His Majesty's Opposition and political leader of the New National Party, Member of Parliament for St. Andrew South East. And again, nobody in Beatena. Yes, indeed. Folks, we do have a little bit of time, I can take one or two quick calls. You'll have to be quick on it. I can still take one or two quick calls at this stage. And you heard Honorable Pierre there mention the Child Protection Act. And we will have to go into part of that. Yeah, we will have to go into a part of that during this week. Probably we will have to go into part of that. There is a special program I was planning for Wednesday night. I just have to sort out one piece of the to understand how a certain aspect of the technology works to get that done, so that we can go through things properly on Wednesday night. I have a good friend of mine that is willing to come to discuss one of the issues here. And indeed. So folks, I'll give you the opportunity if you want to call in 1473-440-7377. But remember, you can only call us on the WhatsApp, so we can take your calls. And let me see, the meet and greet over. But folks, just remember the after work lime of the New National Party, that is coming up. Yeah, that is coming up this Thursday. And let me take this call. Hello, good evening.
Good evening. That's the Nutmeg State calling.
Nutmeg State.
I saw how we doing. It's
I'm
been
good,
about a month.
Well,
Now
yeah,
I saw how you were very deliberate in making sure that you said it correct. That His Majesty opposition.
Mhm.
What happens now? What will happen with this new bill that passed, and if it passed with the allegiance thing, where we no longer have the crown? Would the cops, all the policemen in Grenada, no longer have the crown on their hats, because and they can have a drink with the hat on? They have to take the hat on, because in the bar, I think most of them take the hat off and put it on the side if they're having a drink.
Mhm.
Would that what will happen if we bear no allegiance to the royalty? So I'm going to hang up and turn my volume up.
Okay, no problem, brother. Now, what I would say is this. Now, while the allegiance bill has been passed, the agreement has been that before enactment, in other words, it's been passed in the lower house, the House of Representatives, it's been passed in the upper house, the Senate. As far as I know, the agreement is that it will not be enacted. In other words, that the Governor General should not put a signature to it yet and enforce it until discussions have taken place with the Grenadian people to let them know exactly what it means. So like the questions that you have, that forums would be set up so that those questions could be answered. Now, in the short answer, no. Even over this weekend, I saw some uniforms donated to the Royal Grenada Police Force. They still had the new badge that they had on it, Royal Grenada Police Force, everything. You've just done a building, Royal Grenada Police Force, everything, Royal Grenada Police Force. There has been a stated intention to change the name of the Royal Grenada Police Force. If I remember my constitution correctly, I do not believe it is the Royal Grenada Police Force in the constitution. I'm trying to remember correctly, but I do not believe it is the Royal Grenada Police Force in the Constitution of Grenada. And a change may have to take place there as well to change the name of the police force. May. I'll have to double check, but may. Also, in relation to the uniform, that is part of a broader discussion, and that's what a lot of folks have been speaking about, that if you're making this move, it is best to make a whole move and go into a full republic. Yeah, so you have a republic. Now, there's one school of thought that also says that, and this is a very interesting one that I spoke to a friend of mine on over the weekend, that the Constitution allows you to change the name, but it does not allow you to change the office. In other words, that the Constitution allows, through a simple change, it allows you to change the name of the monarch, so that you can change from Queen Elizabeth II to heirs and successors, as has been there since Grenada's independence in 1974, and has been the name that's been there in the Constitution through even up to this present Parliament. They started under Queen Elizabeth II to heirs and successors, and it has changed from that now to King Charles. So that what the Constitution, when it allows you to make a change there, it allows you to change who the monarch is and not to change the monarch. So you can't change the office, but you can change the name of the individual at that point in time, even though that is covered by Queen Elizabeth II, her heirs and successors. So automatically King Charles is the successor. You've sworn loyalty to him as well. But that you cannot change that without going to a referendum to be able to change who you swear to there. So you can't simply say that we remove them and you change to Grenada by making a simple change in Parliament, but that you have to go to a referendum. So there are different schools of thought in relation to this. And yes, it would mean that you'd have to change things like Her Majesty's prison, or now His Majesty's prison. That would have to be changed. Even when you have cases that are brought before the court, murder case, you would hear so-and-so versus His Majesty. Yeah? So that all of that would have to be changed. There's a lot that would be encompassed there that has to be changed. So there has to be a broader discussion in relation to it. Again, as far as I'm aware, and I'm sorry that the political leader is off already, but the discussions between the sides in Parliament has been that you will now have discussions taking place. It would not be immediately enacted and you go and you enact this thing, so that you have so that you'll have different things. You will have, I lost my train of, okay, yes. So that instead of just enacting it, that you will have discussions in relation to the issue. Yeah? So you will have discussions taking place in relation to this issue, and it will not just be Governor General signs on the weekend and it's law now. As far as I know, the Governor General did not sign that yet, as far as I know, and ought not to sign it according to, from what I understand of the agreement, should not be signing that until a point in time that Grenadians have decided that yes, this is direction we want to go, and have decided whether or not possibly they want to go to a referendum. And so that is the agreement, saying that there are other schools of thought in relation to that, and we will explore those other schools of thought in relation to that as well here on the program, because it's important for people to get different perspectives, whether it be on this particular bill, the age of civil responsibility, the amendment to the Marriage Act, those sort of things. It is important for people to know what is being put into law. Not just the people who are directly involved, but the people who are indirectly involved. Because you may find yourself sometime in the future, even if you're not in the position now, sometime in the future you may find yourself in a position where those amendments, those acts have an effect on your life. Yeah, so you need to know what is taking place, or an effect on a member of your family or your friends. So you need to know what is taking place. Folks, that is all the time we have for tonight for Talking Points. It's always a pleasure being here with you, and in everything you say and do, want you to do it safe and secure. Want to be speaking to and with you, and definitely not about you. My name is Sheldon Scott. I'm out. We'll be back tomorrow night with more Talking Points for you. I am out.
Dreams of brighter days, a vision that's crystal clear. Things you will do, this you will be in the coming year. Of course, it's just a dream. Reality have to turn. So the quest to conquer, the quest to achieve, it has now begun. So there's a move in the right direction, a plan well draft for execution. Forward march onto a dream that now seems so dear. But on the road of execution, there are big stones and so much obstructions. And every bridge that you climb, another one starts to stare. Mountains you have to climb, but so many mountains in line. And the dream that you have now begins to slide. Attacks from a human race, spiritual wickedness in such high place. And a dream that was sweet no longer have much. Despite the rocks they're throwing your way, hold on to your dreams. And some of the things bad mind people say, hold on to your dreams. Despite the racumba of the opium man, hold on to your dreams. The spiritual deeds and wicked intention, hold on to your dreams. Despite the missiles they out to fly against your progress that's now so high, you will live and you will not die. Hold on to your dreams. Quest for a better life, a land that's pure and so right. Land of the free, home of the brave, no longer free and brave. President in Donald Trump, a country turned upside down. What was un-American, no American, because of one man. So if you look within a country where there's no right, no democracy, tell yourself there's no American dream today. Still there's a move that you take faithfully to escape terror and bullets daily. But on the brink of escape, you approach by a huge, huge wall. After miles of sacrifice and a barrier that's so high, your quest for freedom is about to die. Your joints are now feeling weak, dehydration, children feeling sick, and the American dream you just about to quit. Despite the pressures from Donald Trump, hold on to your dreams. In federal jail he will find his bunk. Hold on to your dreams. And despite the tears that they have ignored, hold on to your dreams. American values must be restored. Hold on to your dreams. Now despite the lives that this surely take, for the tearing some could not make, while those who survive it's still a heartbreak.